Our guest today is Nobukatsu Kanehara, Executive Director of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. Kanehara-san has decades of experience in Japanese government, serving in a variety of positions in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and later in the Cabinet of Japan, including as Assistant Chief Cabinet Secretary to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe from 2012 to 2019. In our conversation, we discuss how Japan is watching the US presidential election and how the country might approach a potential Trump or Harris administration. This interview was recorded on October 23rd, 2 weeks out from Election Day in the US and just prior to the Japanese general election, which was held on October 27th. While we're going to talk about the US presidential election, Japan has also recently elected a new prime minister. So I first wanted to hear, how would you characterize the overall approach of this new Japanese administration regarding Japan-US relations?
The big change happened with Prime Minister Abe. The second Abe administration changed many things, and the basic reason is the Chinese rise. China was our size when Abe took power in 2012. And when he left the government, China was 4 times bigger than us. And the military budget is soaring. And the US starts to say that this is the age of great power competition. It's 2020. The State Pompeo said that in the Nixon library. And that's changed many things. Abe-san changed the constitutional interpretations. And Abe said we can join the war outside Japan with the US. Using the collective self-defense rights. That means we can protect Korea, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And Kishida-san, he said we're going to double the defense budget, and Ishiba-san will step into their shoes. So he must implementing the policy lines set by Abe and Kishida.
How do you see that playing out with Japan-US policy specifically?
US was protecting us a long time, and Russia was our main enemy. And Soviet Union collapsed. And then North Korea started to make bombs. We prepared somehow the contingency in Korean Peninsula. And Taiwan, defense of Taiwan, never thought of it. In Washington, in Tokyo, neither. Now they are talking about it. 2022, President Biden invited Prime Minister Suga to Washington. They talked about Taiwan Straits issues. And the last time was 1969 between Nixon and Sato. 50 years, never talked about it. It was taboo. Now it came again to surface, and now we have to coordinate our positions, plans, everything. And this is a restart, a new start of our alliance phase.
I'd like to turn to the US election where, as we stand right now, we're 2 weeks out from the election, and it's really impossible to tell how things are going to go on election day at this point. Since it's difficult for us to make a prediction either way, I wanted to take each candidate in turn and look at their respective positions. I'd like to start with Trump, as he has already been president in the past. From what you've been hearing and what you've seen in his past administration as well as more recently, how would you characterize his position regarding Japan?
We had Prime Minister Abe. He was very close to President Trump. He is almost half the family member. So Japan was special for Mr. Trump. And Abe-san took that as an advantage, and he tried to persuade President Trump why Japan is so important. One, Japan is investing a lot to the United States. They started to invest directly into the United States and China, Europe, and ASEAN nations. In 50 states, Japanese companies are operating. Toyota became American car. 75% parts are made in the United States. And two, our defense efforts are increasing. And our Aegis ships were protecting American carriers. And President Trump didn't know about these things. Oh really, oh really, oh really. And Abe-san could persuade him why Japan is an important ally to the United States. Maybe you have to restart this again. We have no longer Prime Minister Abe, who was assassinated. So we have to reassure him why Japan is important again. The second phase is necessary. And we had very good counterparts, Bolton, McMaster, Matt Pottinger, the Vice President Pence, and Sec Defense Mattis, Sec States Pompeo. We could talk to their aides, advisors, and we could have very stable strategic and diplomatic relationship with Trump administration. So it depends upon who would sit next to him. We don't know who are going to sit around him. but we have to develop ties as a team with him.
You've characterized how former Prime Minister Abe was able to establish this relationship. It's been quite a few years since that time. Have you seen any potential changes in his policy or in his stance? Anything that maybe...
Mr. Trump?
Yes.
I don't think so. For him to make America great again, America is single superpower. That's his worldview. But the truth is America needs allies. And this is American diplomacy. They create a great mainstream in the world history, world politics. That's American diplomacy. Allies are very important. I wish him to understand that.
Now I'd like to turn to a potential Harris administration,
yes.
which may be a bit more of a question mark just because while she served as vice president, she's never actually served in a presidential role, and she maybe hasn't had the opportunity to articulate how exactly she might approach Japan or the region. How would you describe her policy regarding Japan?
I think she will step into the traditional American diplomacy, and many good ones in Biden administration could help her inside, outside the government. So I think we don't see any risk or unpredictability about Madam Harris. She would simply continue the very stable, traditional American diplomacy with allies.
So now I'd like to turn a little bit more to how Japan is watching this election as well. What do you see as the key points that the Japanese side is really looking to as this election is unfolding?
The focus on Asia, what would happen to the next president, it's the biggest issue for us. We have Taiwan issue here. The U.S. posture vis-a-vis Taiwan, they don't change whether it is Trump or Harris. They say as far as China continue the status quo, that's fine, but now Taiwan is more and more self-asserting, right? So they continue to threaten Taiwan, the military exercises, but they fear American intervention now. From Chinese side, they can never imagine that either Trump or Madam Harris accept Chinese military intervention and conquering Taiwan militarily. They don't do that. In Congress, Republicans and Democrats both are standing with Taiwan. So either one would take the White House. I don't think the basic stance will not change, but the style is very different. Mr. Trump wants to have a big deal, and Kamala Harris will be more reserved and continue to pursue a more stable approach to China.
What specific issues will you yourself be paying attention to after the election results have come out? What will you be watching?
We have worked a lot together with Americans, with Abe, with Suga, and with Kishida. And Ishiba-san was out of the mainstream. Now he is in the driving seat, and he should continue to do the homeworks of Abe, Suga, and Kishida. There are so many homeworks. I've just started to work seriously about national security, but how about energy security? We're dependent upon foreign countries for energy, 90%. In the Taiwan contingency, what would you do? And the nuclear power plant are stopped, and we don't know what to do. Food. We are maintaining 125 million Japanese here, and they have to eat. And we're dependent upon sea lanes. In contingency, are we safe with these ships? We have no shelters here. If bombs drop from the sky, Japanese will die instantly. There's no civil protection plan. So we have many things to do. And Abe, Suga, Kishida, my calculation is they did 40% of homework, but we have 60% of homework still. And I hope that Ishiba-san will do it.
That was our conversation with Nobukatsu Kanehara, Executive Director of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. Thanks for joining us for this episode of SPF Worldviews. We'll see you next time.